Hey folks, this is Jake Davis bringing you a wrestling recap this morning. Last night was WWE's Extreme Rules pay-per-view event live from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I had to remember it wasn't Pittsburgh. No, it was Philly. Anyhow, this was like a pretty big weekend for wrestling. New Japan, WWE, and the young upstarts AEW all had pay-per-view events the same weekend. So if really good week to be a wrestling fan, quite honestly, if I'm sure there's some folks out there tried to catch all three shows, but I just caught WWE, because I got the network and I'm a family man. I watch most of my wrestling on like highlights or like old stuff on the WWE Network. I like to listen to Jim Ross when I'm watching wrestling. Anyhow, I usually don't talk about the pre-show, but this time I gotta point out something in the kickoff show because it was a good kickoff show. I don't know if it was just because of Extreme Rules, or because it was not WrestleMania. It was only an hour long, and even an hour felt long, but at least they had two matches on there and some nice backstage interviews. I love this backstage interview the New Day did where they're stacked on top of each other like a totem pole. That was terrific. That was really, really funny. Kicked off with an IC title match between Shinsuke Nakamura challenging Finn Balor. Shinsuke Nakamura ended up hitting the finisher. Beating Balor after Balor misses the coup de grace. Shinsuke hits Kinshasa in the back of the head, then another one to the face, and pins him. New Intercontinental Champion. I kind of like this title change. I don't know for sure, but Shinsuke Nakamura might be the first Japanese-born Intercontinental Champion. But to me personally, it feels like the IC title has lost a lot of its luster in like the last year. I mean, it's not like they're putting it on bad wrestlers. They're putting the belt on terrific wrestlers. But it just seems like they're putting it on guys who don't really need to be Intercontinental Champion. You know what I mean? Them winning it doesn't really move their career forward, nor does it really elevate the title. I personally would like to see the IC title on someone who's never held it before. Or someone who's never been the world champion, even, a real mid-carder, in other words. There was also hard-hitting, just hate to use the word lovely, but it's just a lovely crafted, worked match for the Cruiserweight title between Drew Gulak and Tony Nese. The finisher seemed to kind of come out of nowhere, but that was a good match. That was a good match. The only real problem with that was both guys felt like natural heels, so I didn't know who the hell I was supposed to cheer. So we kicked the show off. Crowd in Philly is just jacked and wild the whole time, by the way. I mean, because it's Philly, they love their wrestling up there, man. They really do. It's kind of funny they've only had one WrestleMania. But anyhow, kick off with a no-holds-barred tag team match. Shane McMahon, the best in the world, teaming with the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre. Man, I love Drew McIntyre. Going up against Roman Reigns and the Undertaker. This was a hellacious, barbaric, fucking fun match, man. I had a blast watching this match. Elias gets involved, smashes the Undertaker with a guitar. They're able to fight off Roman Reigns, put him down for a while. The three heels gang up on the Undertaker. They hit coast to coast on the Undertaker, man. Bang! Trash can and everything. Taker is down. Roman Reigns comes in, fights off Elias, fights off Drew. Taker sits up like frickin' Dracula. A great spot. Oh, always love when he does it. Grabs McMahon. Chokeslam Shane McMahon. Chokeslam Elias. Calling for the tombstone. And it's just great shot. Like, he's calling for the tombstone, and you see like Drew McIntyre raise up behind him like a fucking demon, getting ready for his finisher, the big Claymore kick. He goes to hit it. Intercepted by Roman Reigns' spear. Then Roman grabs Shane and just feeds him to the Undertaker, throws him to Taker. They kind of mess up the first attempt for the tombstone, but they save it. Big sell of it. No. Flips him over, tombstones him, wins. Taker pats him on the shoulder, gives him an attaboy. Roman makes his that's it. Taker makes his that's it. I loved this match, and it was my favorite match of the night. And I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler here. No bad matches. There were no bad matches this night. I loved the teamwork between Roman and Taker. I loved the just cluster of madness and cheating and weapons from the heels. I love the whole finish sequence. That was just so, not only just brilliantly booked, but also at the same time shot well, which is a rare thing you get to praise wrestling. Wow, man, look at the shot that camera guy got. But they did. It was a good match all around. Everybody involved should be proud of that match. As far as Undertaker goes, Undertaker is technically retired, but he keeps wrestling every now and then. Now, I personally would be just thrilled if he walked away and did not wrestle anymore after this match. Every single time he wrestles, I am genuinely worried about him. Last night, even walking down to the ring, I was really tentative, you know what I mean? I was worried about the man. But he had a good match. He was carried well by Roman and Drew, as was Shane, and they had a hell of a fucking match. It was a great match. Next up was another tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. The Revival, terrific team, taking on WWE's best team, the Usos. It's a good match. Once again, lots of back and forth, lots of big dives, tag team moves, crowds getting worked up, Super Kick City. The finish was basically the Usos go for their double suicide dive on one guy. The other Revival guy trips him up. Us tries to fight them both off, but just gets caught with a Shatter Machine, which is a great tag team finisher. And the Revival retained the titles. Good match. No complaints. Next up was, I guess you'd call it a special challenge match between Cesaro and Aleister Black. This is again a situation where they're booking a match where both guys are kind of heels. I gotta say, man, I miss Cesaro's old theme music, and what the fuck was with his Titantron? It looked just like the set to the old show Velocity. Remember that one? It was bad. But the match was good. The match was really good, especially from these, so you expect it to. Aleister Black is a huge dude, and Cesaro is such a powerhouse, just throwing him around like he's a freaking child. Finish came out of nowhere. They're just striking back and forth, going toe-to-toe, and Black just hits the Black Mass kick to the face out of nowhere, pins them, match over. Thought it was a terrific match, and I hope they do a rematch very soon, because these guys had some chemistry, and it felt like they were just getting started with this one. We'll go backstage. We'll see R-Truth looking for a Hornswoggle and his European Championship. Of course, it's Rockstar Spud with the hardcore title, 24/7 title. Or Drake Maverick, whatever they call him. I hate when they... Yeah, so often the indie name is so much better. Anyhow, he runs into Alexa Bliss and Nikki, who are getting ready for their matchup. Goes off with Carmella looking for Hornswoggle. And then they run into the Street Profits, the NXT Tag Champions. And the NXT Tag Champions are really basically wanting to know, where's the party at? I like the Street Profits. They're over as hell with me, man. So next up, we have a handicap match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bayley defends against both Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I guess the stipulation here is that if Alexa and Nikki win, they, co-champ, Freebird style. Again, a really good match. Particularly with this match, I liked the story, because they hint all through the build and even during the backstage promo with the Street Profits earlier that Alexa's going to betray Nikki. There's going to be but we never get that. These girls work as a solid team, constantly trying to put Bayley down, but they can't beat her. The resilient babyface coming back. Great spot where she has Nikki Cross in the India Deathlock. Then she drops Alexis down into the bank statement, it looked like. And she's going to make both girls tap out at once. It was great. She eventually is able to isolate Nikki Cross, hits the Macho Man elbow drop, and retains her SmackDown Women's title. Really good match. Next up was a last man standing match between Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. Now, again, I really liked this match. And I wish they would push Bobby Lashley to the moon. I don't care if he can't talk. I don't care if he's not charismatic on the mic. He is one of the most legit competitors to ever try their hand in professional wrestling. This man was an Army Ranger, Golden Gloves boxer, I think NCAA champion. This guy's UFC fighter, I think undefeated in UFC. This guy will fuck you up in real life. So it's like, we don't, wrestling is kind of slumming it for him. So, push him if he's going to be there. Treat him like he's something. Anyhow, he had a terrific last man standing match with Braun Strowman. A lot of just throwing guys into stuff and through stuff. The finish is Strowman hits the oh god, they call it a power slam, but it's the running stampede. I hate when that's bugged me for like the whole time he's been on top. Anyhow, or been pushed. So he hits that finisher. They go through like the floor. They like go off a balcony and like go through the floor. And the referee goes, it was so stupid. The referee's already standing over looking down at both guys. He goes around to where he can't see them and starts counting them down. Braun Strowman bursts through the wall like I was going to say like the Hulk, but it was more like the Kool-Aid Man. He bursts through the damn wall, and at 8, the referee, instead of restarting the count, because he can't even see Bobby Lashley, he just goes 8, 9, 10, and Lashley loses. Lashley was robbed. This feud is not over, I'm telling you. Next up was a triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Planet's champions, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, defending against Heavy Machinery and the New Days, Xavier Woods and Big E Langston. God, this was great. This is a great match. Spot City, Tower of Doom shit. Well, my favorite bit was when Bryan got the submission, the label locked in on Big E. And Big E's like, because he's so huge, he's just like crawling, dragging both of them to the ropes. And then Bryan just says, fuck, okay, I'll get you in the Rings of Saturn, and I'll hook your ankle. It was really great chain wrestling submission shit. I just love that bit. The finish came when the faces were able to isolate. They got Daniel Bryan. New Day, they hit the Midnight Special. And new 6-time World Tag Team Champions, the New Day, man. They're up there with the Hardy Boys and the New Age Outlaws now, but it's still not on level with the Harlem Heat, baby. Backstage, they're celebrating with the gorgeous Charlie Caruso. Paul Heyman just walks by, snatches their mic, goes out on stage and says, Brock Lesnar will cash in Money in the Bank tonight, and leaves. And also talks about how, he is Philadelphia, which is fair. Next up is United States title match, Ricochet versus AJ Styles. Now, AJ Styles has turned heel during the story. Him and the Bullet Club have been poking at each other, trying to get a fire lit under the three of them. He lost a match. He beat Ricochet in a non-title match and challenged him for a title match, lost a title match, then instantly turned heel. So now we got the rematch, the rubber match. This is, Ricochet trying his best, but the whole time you kind of feel like Ricochet doesn't have a chance here. I mean, he's fighting AJ Styles, the Bullet Club are at ringside. He fights him off, he keeps him down, but eventually AJ cuts him off on the ropes, hits a fucking Styles Clash off the second rope, going backwards, too, dude. It's so scary. And we have a new United States champion. Great match. Next up was Owens and Ziggler. This was like announced the day of the show, I guess. And because I didn't know they were going to fight tonight. Owens comes out. Ziggler comes out. Ziggler slaps. Bell rings. Ziggler slaps him. Owens hits a stone cold stunner. And it's fucking over. He beat him in like 8 seconds, man. Dolph Ziggler in 8 seconds. What the hell? Then he gets on the mic and he talks about Shane McMahon can't cut him off because Shane McMahon's got fucked up earlier tonight. He ain't doing nothing right now. And he says, this is basically the working class, man. He talks about all these wrestlers who are at home not getting a pay-per-view paycheck. Champions who don't have an opportunity to even defend their titles because Shane McMahon has to be on the card. You got a good point, and it could be an interesting story where they're taking this. Next up was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Kofi Kingston defends against Samoa Joe. This match is basically exactly what you expect it to be. Samoa Joe just, his relentlessness and his viciousness against Kofi's heart and agility. They just had a good match. Went back and forth, a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of near falls. Fucking Joe just constantly trying to look like he's trying to break Kofi's hand and his fingers all throughout the match. It was really cool. Eventually, Kofi's able to, I can't remember the basketball phrase. He's able to psych out Joe. Joe looks the wrong way, turns back around, gets caught with a Trouble in Paradise, and Kofi retains the title. Big celebration with the New Day backstage. Main event time. Mitt's tag team match, Stream Rules, for both the Raw Women's Championship and the Universal Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, respectively, defend against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans comes out during her entrance. She got like Seth's name on her ass, and like she throws her booty right up into the camera. I mean, full frame is booty. And I thought it was more funny than like anything alluring, because we never got that with like Stacy Keibler or Trish Stratus. What makes this chick so special? I mean, she's not completely unattractive, but she's not on the level of other chicks in the company now, like Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks. But yeah, she got all full screen booty shot. It starts off as a traditional tag match, and a mixed tag match. They're doing the tags. Corbin gets pissed pretty early and goes straight for the kendo sticks. Kendo sticks go back and forth. Steel chairs going back and forth. There's a great spot where where Becky and Seth are beating on the two of them in unison with kendo sticks. I mean, they're like, if you've ever played like wrestling video games, you've probably done that bit with your friends. You just beat them down like almost to the beat of a drum, and it's funny as hell. They pull out this terrifying double table spot where the tables are on the floor, and the heels are both on the table, on each table, and the faces both go to the top rope. We got Becky, and like on the second one, and behind her on the other side of the ring post is Seth on the top one. Becky jumps for the guillotine leg drop, going through their table. Seth dives over them with a frog splash, crashing on Corbin through his table. And that was even the finish. I mean, the finish was soon after. Goes in the ring, Corbin's able to fight back, hits deep sits, Becky breaks it up. Lacey tries to run in, Becky runs her out, turns around, gets hit with the fucking end of days, just lays her out, nasty style too. Seth Rollins goes Wolverine berserker mode here, man. I also meant to point out that they came out like Becky and Seth came out like matching ring attire that looked like the X-Men. I thought that was cool. He goes berserker mode. I mean, breaks the fucking kendo stick on him, wailing on him with a steel chair, and then hits 3 consecutive curb stomps, pins them, and the faces retain their titles. Seth Rollins immediately goes to check on Becky Lynch, but wait, there's more. Brock Lesnar said he's cashing in, so he does. He runs out, beats the shit out of Seth Rollins, suplexes him a couple of times. I wish he would have, at least hit him with a chair or something. Cashes in the Money in the Bank, and beats him. Gets the belt back just like that. We will never be rid of Brock Lesnar, because wrestling fans don't deserve good things. Just a fact. Look, I personally was sitting there hoping Becky would have slid into the ring and caused a disqualification the second the match started. That way you could have had almost like this horror movie storyline over the next few weeks of him being obsessed with Brock Lesnar being obsessed with Becky Lynch and chasing her all over the country trying to get his hands on this woman. And one city after the other, the wrestlers and the fucking security staff all standing up and protecting Becky Lynch until Becky Lynch has no more and she goes right at it with him. I mean, she'd get hurt and everything. But I think it could be kind of a cool story. Doesn't necessarily have to result in Becky and Brock actually fighting anywhere down the line, but this almost this horror movie like storyline will eventually would encourage, inspire the whole locker room to finally stand up against Brock Lesnar and run the fuck out. But that's just what I would rather see. I would rather see literally anything other than him get the belt back. But overall, this was a great show. This was a great pay-per-view with fast pace, one terrific match after the other. If I was going to say what was the bad match, I usually don't like to include squash matches. I don't know, man. Because the squash matches were the only matches that weren't terrific. Any match that had a chance to, go more than a minute gave me a good match last night. So, yeah, I'm not going to punish anything for not being... No, everything was good. There was no bad matches this night. Top marks, top praise. God bless them. They did a good show with their back against the wall after the very, 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 very scary situation they had with Stomping Ground. Where both with both from viewership and from attendance was dismal. Nobody saw that fucking show. Anyhow, oh my gosh, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It went quite long. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm Jake Davis. I'll catch you on the fly.